BlogTalkRadio, the world's largest online radio network.
Show on the web. What was wrong with that intro?
Hey, you always say it's everybody. We have a catchphrase. It's good evening, everybody.
I know, and I always say America, but then I said the rest of the world.
But you're excluding all the aliens that listen to the show.
Oh, shut it right in your pie hole.
This is John.
This is Curtis. We are, okay, first of all, we need to, how do we, I didn't even tell you. We need to say, okay, last week's show was a lot of fun.
I'm still,
for us.
Just got out of rehab in time to make it to this show.
Last week's show was a lot of fun for us.
I have done serious permanent damage to my body.
And it was the longest show that we've done in quite a long time.
Have we ever done a longer show?
I don't believe we have.
No, it was our longest show ever. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was our longest show.
2.5 hours.
And in that 2.5 hours, there is a good 36 minutes of quality content.
Well, I just said 34, but
you know, but there were some real gems in there. So, if you were listening to it and you had a hard time listening to it, we apologize. Just know that it was very fun for us to do.
We were having a good time.
We were having a great time.
Why you got to hate on us?
Why you got to hate? And really, so our guest Tom Conkle and Brittany Powell, they were awesome.
That one was for Tom, by the way.
We will have them back on at some point. And
I still have Tom's pasties right here.
Stuck to the window there.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
odd. So tonight we have a big night. We already have people. We have guests in the chat room and guests. If you're, I just made a post. So
let's remark now that if you're a guest in the chat room and you'd like to be able to ask questions of our guests this evening, then you should probably just sign up for a Blog Talk Radio account. It is fast, free. They don't harass you, send you spam or anything like that. But it will allow you to actually chat in our chat room instead of just view what's going on in there.
So tonight's show, we have a big guest. We are going to be talking with Nelsan Ellis, who plays Lafayette in the HBO series True Blood. And Nelsan and I met, and I asked him if we wanted to do the show, and he agreed. And he's actually going to be joining us a little later on from location. He's in New Orleans shooting a film right now, so we'll be talking to him about that.
New Orleans is still around?
Yeah, it's still there.
Oh,
yeah. It flooded and then it drained. And
really? So they put it back.
They've not all of it. Yeah, but a lot of it, from what I understand.
Okay, well, learn something new every day.
Have you been watching the Olympics at all?
I have, and I have a pet peeve to talk about the Olympics.
So do I.
You first.
Okay, I have hardly watched. I've watched maybe 4 minutes of the entire Olympic coverage. Now, part of that was, and I've been thinking about writing a strongly worded blog post. To our website.
An actual blog post.
An actual blog post, which I never ever do on our site, which is WorstShowOnTheWeb.com. We during the opening ceremonies. Now, did you watch the opening ceremonies?
I did not.
Okay, there was a piece that they did where they said, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the London Symphony Orchestra will be playing the theme Chariots of Fire.
Oh, okay, Vangelis.
Yeah, and
one of my favorite composers of all time.
And so they'll be playing the theme from Chariots of Fire. And so they start, and the first thing that you see is a finger, because that piece of music starts with, and then the rest of it comes in. And then, the camera pulls back to reveal that person is Rowan Atkinson.
Mr. Bean.
And they do a whole shtick that was a little bit long in the tooth, and he's
breaking the piano,
his entire job entire job is doing that through the entire song, and he gets bored, and then at one point he sneezes, he's looking for tissue, and then at one point he's daydreaming. That in there they intercut him with clips of the movie, and it was just a little long in the tooth, like this explanation. And so, but here was my fault with it.
I think I'm going to go first.
No, here was my fault with it. Immediately, they say, and here's the London Symphony Orchestra playing this piece of music, and almost immediately it becomes a Mr. Bean gag.
Right.
It's like, wow, what a way to reduce world-class musicians to props.
Oh, I thought they'd been props for a while.
You know,
actually, ever since they played with Elton John, I've kind of thought of them as
I just found it really
an accessory.
That's all it was. Yeah. And it was like, okay, why don't you let people play?
That's your pet peeve?
Yeah, why don't you let? Because I haven't been watching. I'm so done with the Olympics already. But why don't you? If you're going to do that, fine. Here's the London Symphony Orchestra playing a great piece of music, and let us appreciate that for a few minutes. Let us appreciate, a minute of the actual music, the beautiful music, and then...
So you're criticizing their timing.
Just when... it should have been much better.
Okay.
And then, just when we become, lulled by this sense of nirvana that this music has, brought on, it's even more of a surprise that Mr. Bean is in the orchestra doing it. And then you can do the thing, and then his shtick doesn't have to be so freaking long. And it was I just thought it was I understood what they were doing, but I just thought the timing was poor. Other than that, I haven't watched any Olympics whatsoever.
Oh, okay. Well,
and by the way, that was the only portion of the opening ceremonies that I watched.
Okay, I'm going to talk about my pet peeve now because it's really driving me nuts. More than one of my Facebook and friends have posted saying, please do us a favor. Those of us who work during the day, those of us who don't have the freedom to watch what we want to watch when we're going to watch it, those of us who have other things going on in our lives and have taped the Olympics, please do not talk about the Olympics on Facebook so that we don't get any spoilers. To which I say, do you call all the radio stations that you listen to and say, don't talk about the Olympics?
But you know what I've been doing now?
Do you?
Because I have people that have been doing that as well. And you know what I've been doing?
What?
I've been posting the fake winners to fake events.
Yeah. I tell you, it pissed me off because I'm like, you know what? You don't call a radio station and say don't talk about the Olympics. You just don't listen to the radio. You don't call up your television station and say don't talk about the Olympics. You don't turn on the television. So if you can't control yourself from getting onto a social media site that you know is going to have this stuff going on...
No, I get it. I hear you.
Don't bother doing it.
And it wasn't the way I thought you were going to go with that. But
God, it's pissing me off.
So, it's funny because we just started the show and we're already getting close to Mr. Nelsan Ellis time. And so that was like the quickest sort of intro. That was our... We might talk about the Olympics later when nobody else is listening. But
it could be in 10 minutes.
In just a few minutes. Now, if you were listening to the show live, and we know that most people who listen to the show listen to it as a podcast. If you were listening to the show live, there are two different ways in which you will be able to interact with our guest tonight. You can go to the chat room and you can type in questions. He's not reading the chat, but we are. And so we will ask the question of Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, if it passes muster.
If it passes muster, right. It's not like what's your favorite brand of relish?
Oh, gotta cross that one off my list.
Yeah, cross that one off your list.
All right. So the other way, though,
is you can call in.
That's right.
And so a little later on, now we already have someone calling in. Oh no, that's our guest. That's our guest.
Curtis.
Sorry, you're right.
Whoop. I know you're not used to us actually being on top of the show.
You are on it already.
So
now you will be able to call in later in the show. Now don't call in right now. We're not going to get to your questions right away. But a little later on in the show, we will be taking callers. Our number is 347-202-0556. So we will be back in just 10 little seconds with Mr. Nelsan Ellis from True Blood.
Worst show on the web. We put the crap in craptastic.
And I believe we have Mr. Ellis with us on the phone right now.
Hello.
What's up?
Nelsan, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. You are currently, if I am not mistaken, in New Orleans shooting a film.
I am. I'm in New Orleans shooting a film called and Martin Luther King Jr. actually.
Now, I personally did not understand any of that. Did you?
I know. We got some kind of audio issue here.
Can you hear me now?
There we go. That's better.
That's better.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in New Orleans in the film called The Butler, playing Martin Luther King. And it's a really freaking dynamic cast of individuals. You have Forrest Whitaker, who's in it, Terrence Howard, Oprah Winfrey, Leah Shriver, Robin Williams, Vanessa Redgrave, Jane Fonda.
Wow.
It's just a monster of a cast, directed by Lee Daniels.
Now, how does it feel going into a project with a cast such as that, and you are playing Martin Luther King Jr.?
Dude, I feel like a little boy with short legs chasing his father. I mean, my God, it's like I should not be here, and you're constantly second guessing yourself because you're working with people who are so dynamic at what they do. You know, and you've not quite been around that long to make a name for yourself. So it's a little nerve-wracking. It's
wow. I couldn't imagine going into that situation. You're like, great, I'm playing Martin Luther King Jr. Oh, wait, who else is going to be on set? Never mind. Now I'm going to stay home. Wow, that it must be just a crazy, crazy experience for you. Now, how long are you going to be down there?
I'll be down there for 3 weeks.
That's great. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that you actually do shoot part of the True Blood series is shot on location in Louisiana as well, correct?
Yes. Yes, we shot more the first 2 seasons, but now we just, I think, shoot exteriors.
Nice. So, well, everyone knows you from for your work on True Blood, and quite honestly, you're a relative newcomer to Hollywood, like you alluded to a moment ago. You had a few projects that you did before True Blood, but really you kind of came very quickly from you went to Juilliard, and shortly after Juilliard you ended up out in L.A. and working with Mr. Alan Ball. What was that whole process for you like?
Working with him?
Just going to from school to a hit TV show in just a short amount of time, just a few years.
I wish I had a mentor at that time. I wish I had someone who had been on the show before, and because things happen so fast, I didn't know how to quite deal with it in the healthiest of ways. Because it happens really, really fast, and all of a sudden there's a lot of expectations and pressure and lights and a lot of people talking about you, and everywhere you go, you have no more anonymity, and that can freak a person out a little bit. So I was freaked out a little bit, but once I learned the ropes, I got it together.
So this is John, and I am unlike Curtis. I am not as familiar with the series True Blood. Because I'm cheap.
Shame on you.
I really got to look at my priorities. At first, I do a show with Curtis, and then I don't get HBO and watch True Blood. I know. But I was wondering if maybe for people like me and probably some listeners we have who are like me, if you could describe a little about your character on True Blood and exactly what it's like playing him.
Well, I started off as a gay short order cook who also sold vampire blood and sold himself. He was a freelance sex trafficker, as I call him, and he ran a gay porn website. So he was a hustler and an entrepreneur. And in his trajectory, he became a boyfriend for a year, got possessed, killed his boyfriend via the witch that possessed him. And now he's just in mourning because he's in mourning, but he's also hustling his other gifts, which now he's a medium. He found out that he has witch blood, so he's a medium now, and he also has a demon inside himself that occasionally comes out with power.
Wow, I just had a question, and it just.
I have a great question. So in the original series that in the books that the series was based on, your character didn't live very long. But as it turns out in the show, your character was so popular and such an important medium for the development of some of the other characters on the show that they've continued your character past where he would have died in the original series. What's that like for you? That you've been given kind of a stay of execution?
Dude, it's a job. So I was like, bless the Lord on my soul. When Alan told me that he was going to keep me, I was like, thank God. Because, this was my second series that I worked on. I worked on one before, but it died at 13 episodes. But as an actor, you get, when you have a steady paycheck, that shit feels good.
What was that?
So yeah, I was delighted, and I had fallen in love with the rest of the cast. I loved working with Alan. I thought the project was wonderful, so I was glad to say that Alan decided to keep me on. Alan decided to keep me on actually before the show hit the air. So he had before there were fans, anything like that, he had already decided that he was going to keep me.
Now, for those of you who don't know who we're talking about Mr. Alan Ball, who is the director, producer, writer of the. He conceived the concept. He is now the executive producer of the show. Actually, just stepping down is going to be replaced. He's moving on to another show, but he's also responsible for bringing us such exciting shows as 6 Feet Under, and I forget the project that he's working on. He's about to start working on, but this last
called Banshee. It'll be on Cinemax.
And so he is moving on from True Blood, and he's handed off the reins to other just as talented folk. So now,
and from what I hear, if you can't show it on HBO, Cinemax is where obviously he's taking it up a notch.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be True Blood with more nudity.
Let us all pray.
So now, some of the questions that I have for you, I'm really curious when you play such an openly gay character. I'm
going to go on a limb and say convincing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A convincing portrayal of an openly gay character.
What kind of response have you received from not only the straight community but from the gay community?
Wait, he's straight?
What trepidation did you have about if any about playing such a character?
As a black man in this industry, it playing such a strong character can stigmatize. Oftentimes, the actor can be stigmatized. So that was my only fear, and I remember going to my godmother, who was Viola Davis, and I said, "The gay character, I don't want to get stigmatized. You think I should do it?" And she said, "You got any more offers for any jobs?" I said, "No, better take that damn job. Don't worry about that other stuff. Pray." So I had some trepidation in the beginning. In terms of, it's funny because straight people, the character being gay is not even like, that's not what they just say they love the character. Like, honestly, which shocked me because I thought that people would, like, think all sorts of things, and I thought the gay community would hate me. I thought straight people would be like, "Dude, why are you playing a gay dude?" Not the case. Straight people just say, "Oh, I love the character." They don't go, gay or this or that. They just like, "I love the character." The dude is just, "I love the character." Most gay people will go, they'll talk about all the different stereotypes of the gay community and how I sort of sidestep them, and because it's their world, so obviously they come up to me. But everybody liked the character for who he is, and being gay is, such a small part of him that people just sort of like him for who he is. And I don't know that recipe. Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't know why people like Lafayette. I don't know why people like Lafayette.
I cannot tell you how many people, when I said I got a chance to work with you or I was going to be interviewing you, how many people were like, "Oh, I love that show. He's my favorite character." Oh, I love, somebody posted on my Facebook page today, "I love me some Laugh." So you've definitely, if you could figure out how you did it, you have definitely struck a chord with the viewership of that show, because everyone loves you. You're one of the favorite. Lafayette is one of the favorite characters on that show.
Bro, I've been trying to figure it out for the past 4 years, and I've been like, I'm just gonna accept it, okay? But I don't understand why. But I do with my family. My family hates, a lot of my family hates the show. But I've come from a family of, like, Bible thumpers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they don't appreciate this. And what Lafayette represents to, you know, them. So I hear that all the time. So I never understand why. But anyway.
Now, I'm just curious, when you're out and about, when, you know, because really you sort of came from, even though you'd been on another series and you've had some film work, this was really the show that, you know, people first noticed you from. And because you're playing such a very strong character, when you're out in public and when people recognize you, do they confuse, you know, can they see the difference between you and your character, or have you had people, you know, that just assume that you are Lafayette?
A lot of people assume that I'm Lafayette. Because they're always surprised when they meet me. Or they go, I heard the voice, but you don't look like Lala. I'm like, well, only because he's my 9 to 5. Like, he's my 9 to 5. I leave him at work. I don't bring him home. Yeah, or they expect me to resemble him in some way, or walk like him, or talk like him, or have some mannerisms that he has, and I'm like, no. And they like, I'll say, hi, my name is Nelsan, and they're like, Lafayette, and then they call me Lafayette for the duration of the conversation. They don't call me Nelsan, it's Lafayette. I'm in New Orleans, and I'm Lafayette. And
that's hilarious.
In New Orleanites, they won't call me by my name. They just keep calling me Lafayette.
That is hilarious. Now, can you tell? I mean, I know that some of the people are going to be, you know, clamoring for True Blood information. What is something that you can share that happens to Lafayette this season 5 that's already underway?
He regains his footing. I'll say that, and he goes back to, because we've seen Lafayette like just deal with some shit for a long time, for the past 2 seasons. Now we start to see a resemblance of the old Lafayette start to come back to life.
So he starts hustling again.
He does start hustling again. He does, and he gets lighter. He's not bedraggled. He's going to start to come out of it. It's good to get back to the funny.
So I know we've been spending a lot of time talking about True Blood, which is a very popular show, but I also want to know, I mean, aside from the project you've just talked about that you're currently working on and this current season of True Blood, what else do you have in the hopper? Are there any other things that you're working on that you want to talk about?
Yes, I have a documentary that I'm the executive producer / director of. It's called Damn Wonderful. And it's about 6 young LGBTQ poets, 3 from New York, 3 from LA. And we basically use them, their lives, their journey, to combat suicide among young LGBTQ individuals now, because there's a spike, and then there's a spike in bullying. And so we're hopefully trying to create these 6 role models to tell the world, tell young LGBTQ individuals who are being bullied and who have thoughts of suicide and who aren't in a situation to where they can wait till things get better. We have these 6 individuals through their poetry and through their stories telling the world that who they are is relevant and special, and you don't have to deal with being bullied, and love yourself, and suicide is not an option, and you can take control of your life. I mean, it's originally when we started the project, it was just supposed to be about, you know, these 6 young poets who are great role models for their community, or could be great role models for their community. And then we found out that, you know, one of them was corrective rape, and 5 of them attempted suicide, and all of them were bullied. So it became about this dialogue of, despite what's going on, you and you alone have to live with yourself forever, and you have to learn how to love yourself. And they talk about their journey to finding a place within themselves to where they go, I am wonderful, and I'm here for a reason, and I am relevant. Despite what's going on around me, I'm going to stay true to who I am and love who I am, and I think it's a beautiful thing. So I'm really, really proud of the project. I've learned a whole lot, and I'm a father. I'm a 5-year-old, and I was like, you know, all the things that a parent thinks about in terms of what their child is going to be when they grow up. I completely arrested all that stuff, and I said, my child is going to be him, and I'm going to love him for whatever he becomes, and it's because of this project.
So now, is this a project that you would have done, or, you know, before you ended up doing the role, you know, of Lafayette playing an openly gay character?
No, I would not have done this project before I play Lafayette. An executive at HBO about a year ago, he told me, he said, Nelsan, this character you play has afforded you a voice in a specific community, and you should really do something while you're playing this character in terms of a good cause to the community. And I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. Went to a poetry slam, and suicide and bullying was a hot topic among young LGBTQ. I researched it, found out that it was a big issue. And I'm just passionate about young people in general because they're our future, they're our tomorrow. So got some producers together, and we decided to do Damn Wonderful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I had a question.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask. You talked earlier about how you come from a background and an upbringing that's not as accepting of that type of lifestyle, and now you find yourself as a role model for that lifestyle, even though it's not a lifestyle that you personally in your private life partake in. How do you square those two things? I mean, has this been a challenge for you in your family life? And if so, has that been something that you can kind of pull on and draw on in both your portrayal of your character and also in projects like Damn Wonderful?
I mean, I look at it like this. People are people. I mean, we are many different shades, and that's why the world is so colorful. I don't think that they're much... gay is such a small part of an individual. Straight is such a small part of an individual. So I deal with my family because I'm a grown man. I deal with them like, listen, I don't share those beliefs. So I'm not going to conform to any. Yes, I don't have a problem in my life because I don't have a problem in my life.
Well, we have some questions that are starting to come in, both in the chat room, and I'm getting questions texted to me on my phone. One of the people in the chat room, screen name Delayed, had a great question. He said, Stephen Moyer directed last week's episode. How was the experience being directed by a fellow actor?
It was weird at first, I must admit. It was weird at first. Because then you have to switch to, this is not my peer now, this is the director. Mm-hmm. But he's such a great director. I after about 2 or 3 hours, I started flowing with him. But it was weird at first.
And then I have another, the question that was sent to me via my own personal phone is from listener Gina, who would like to say hello. Has there ever been anything that you have been asked to do on the show that you refused to do, or anything that you were asked to do that you dreaded doing?
Well, you can't refuse Alan Ball. The gold thong and me pulling out my pants was a bit much for me. I was not looking forward to pulling down my pants in the gold thong. And on that Monday at my father's job, because all my father's co-workers are fans of the show, went back and told my father, your son is wearing a gold thong in the show. And he came back and he was like, did they pay you extra for that? So yeah, I was dread gold thong situation.
And what did you tell your dad?
I said, no, they don't pay me extra for it. I got to do it. If I actually pull out my schlong, I would have to do that too. You would go, okay.
That's hilarious. That's well, it's funny for me because in my outside of acting world, a lot of the people that I interact with professionally are also fans of the show, and so just the fact that I am going to be on the show in a couple of weeks with you just has blown people away. I can only imagine what friends of your family members must be. Oh yeah, my son. That's my son. I can only imagine what kind of joy that must bring to them.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It was really more of a statement. It was really more of a statement than a question. So, so okay. I have. I was just curious. You know, well, I was curious what the audition process was like, getting this role. When you first read the part, you know, how different was Lafayette in your mind from what he eventually turned out to be? And, you know, and how different, what was your take going into the role as opposed to now that you're playing the role, you know, every week, how you play him?
Well, I didn't know. I mean, Alan Ball, it was just so eclectic, the stuff that was in the description of what he wanted. I thought he was insane because I was like, how are you going to put all this together? You want somebody feminine and masculine, and he wearing makeup, and he has to beat. I mean, it was just a lot of contradictory elements about the character in my mind. So I didn't know how to do what's going on. He didn't want you to come in with makeup because I was like, makeup would be an important part. And then they would call him a drag queen. So it was like, I don't know what the fuck they want. I don't understand what's going on. Drag queen. And then Alan didn't want you to bring in a caricature. So I was like, this some shit right here. I had 4 auditions. My third audition was terrible, apparently. And I just got the 4th one by the skin of my teeth, and that's only because Alan brought everybody back. It was like 6 of us auditioning 3 times together. He didn't know which one he wanted. I went to my acting coach. Her name is Marjorie Ballantyne, and she was like, "Nelsan, you got to find You have to find the femininity inside yourself and wrap that in your masculinity and just build the character from elements that are inside it." And I was like, and I'm harking back to my mother. My mother was a tomboy, but I can act like my mother and put on my mother.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I got some femininity inside me that I can work with, that I can offset that with some masculinity. Okay, I can do them both. And then she was like, now let's build a person, because Alan Ball is a gay man. If if you come in with a caricature, he gonna smell you before you walk in the room. So you have to come in with a person. So I was like, you know, I put a scarf on my head. You know, I got to walk together. I figured out who I thought Lafayette was in an audition situation, because you don't like fully flesh out a character in an audition because you don't have enough time. And then in the fourth audition, I went in and he gave me the job the next day.
That's awesome.
My take on Lafayette was, I was like, the dude should be like wild and completely unpredictable. So I did shit in the audition that I normally wouldn't do. Like I got up, walked around, I put my crotch and I like poked my crutch out into Alan's face. I was like, I'm just go for broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gave me the job the next day.
Have you talked to him since then? Was there anything? I mean, was that the, you know, what was the deal breaker, or not the deal breaker? What cinched your you getting the job?
Because I think that I brought something in that he hasn't seen in the other 5 people. I think that there was something he didn't see, and I think that I was unpredictable. I mean, I can only tell you what the casting director told me. I think the unpredictability, and there was something that Alan Ball hasn't seen.
So, in that you brought something to the character that they maybe hadn't seen before. Do you find yourself now? You're into the 5th season of the show. How much input do you have into the character and what goes on? Is this all predetermined for you, or do you participate in any of the actual creation of this character?
Oh yeah. Alan Ball is a big collaborator. So everything from hair, makeup to costume, you have a voice in it. And because you're the mind of the character. You know what I mean? You can't. These other elements aren't. So if you're the mind of the character, then they can't just like, so you don't look like this, you don't wear this. You know what I mean? So we collaborate. Like I can say, I think he'll wear this. Oh yeah. I mean, Audrey is spot on all the time. Like, Audrey, the costume person, she's spot on all the time. At this point, pretty much everybody know all the characters. So we don't do that much collaborating now because we're in the rhythm to everybody. Everybody sort of just know the character and how they look and how they dress.
In terms of the input that you do have in the character, have you ever had a situation where the writers presented you with the scene and you just said, "Nah, Lafayette wouldn't do that"?
Yeah.
And what happens when that happens?
We talked about it, and then I end up doing what the burden is then you have to come up with something, or you have to come up with something that works for them too. And so there was one time I felt strongly, like when Marnie kills Jesus and she uses my body to do it, like I was strongly against it. I was like, I would come forth and stop her. I would not allow my body to kill my dude. I would not. Lafayette is a strong person. And they was like, no, Marnie is stronger, and we really have to set up that she is like all powerful right now, and Lafayette is strong. But if you could like try to do it a couple of takes, yeah. But the way the shot was set up, I could not make it work. So we perished that thought, and Marnie just killed my dude.
Oh. So I was curious if there was something. What was, of all the things that you've done, the 5 seasons that you've had, is there an episode that stands out as your most and least favorite? I guess, are there episodes that stand out as your most and least favorite?
Yeah, I don't have a least favorite. I have my most favorite. The AIDS Burger episode is probably my all-time favorite episode.
So, talking to two people that don't really follow the show, what was so...
and we know we're bad for it.
Yeah, we know we're bad for it. But what was... please give us a little rundown on why that was your favorite to do.
Well, it's probably my favorite episode because that season I had the most to do that episode. And I normally only had like two scenes, and I have 4 scenes that episode. But, you know, there was a scene to where these rednecks had come in, and they sent their burger back because they said that they wanted a burger with no AIDS because I had made the burger. And so I proceeded to come out there and I whooped their ass.
So now, we don't know if we're going to get any callers. We've had a very quiet chat room tonight, but if you would like to ask some questions, we are going to open up our call lines. If you want to call in right now, the number is 347-202-0556. Now, that being said, don't be surprised if people do not call in because our show... Our listeners are timid. Our listeners are timid, but actually our listeners are more in a podcast. Very few people listen to us live.
Oh, you think that's what it is?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And we know the numbers. We get good numbers every week. It's just, they listen. They listen.
I just like to think they're all afraid of us.
Yeah. Or they just don't want to lend any credibility to
what we're doing here.
To what we're doing here. Now, I had some more questions for you. Now, what is the weirdest? You've got uber fans for this show. What is the weirdest story that you have about when you out in public from fans of the show? Is there anything that pops out at you?
Yeah, my man tattooed Lafayette on his leg.
No way.
Yeah, he tattooed Lafayette on his leg and showed me.
So there's a guy out there walking around with your picture as Lafayette on his leg.
Yes, sir. He lives in San Diego. He has Lafayette on his calf.
Wow.
Was it a good likeness?
It was. The dude is actually. He's like a really, really pale dude, and he got a black man calf, and I'm shaded in the dark with like lipstick. No, it was the tattoo artist was good. But I have the privilege of being on his calf, and I'm right next to Lionel from Thundercats.
That is hilarious.
That's pretty awesome.
On his calf.
That is hilarious. I have what is probably...
I wonder how Lionel feels about that.
Now, being that you're on the show, you get to go to a bunch of you get to go to a bunch of things, like Comic-Con and that type of stuff. I mean, are you just completely swamped by people?
Yeah, we all are. We all are. But that's the time that we go to appreciate the fans. So it's all good.
So we have some people calling in. We're just going to say, we're just going to 323. You are on the air with Mr. Nelsan Ellis.
Hi, my name is Kay. I live in Los Angeles, and I've been listening to the pod, and I have to say that I am a huge fan of Nelsan, and I love Lafayette. But he had mentioned a documentary he was working on. And I just wanted to know, and he said it was about poets, and I wanted to know more about the documentary, like how maybe he found the poets to be in the documentary or where the poets are from.
And when it's going to come out.
Yeah, and when it's coming out, for sure.
Well, we're going to shop it around to festivals first. Hopefully we'll get into Sundance, and then hopefully it'll probably live at HBO, considering everybody who work on the project work at HBO. But it's about 6 poets who are young LGBTQ individuals, and they basically talk about their journey in dealing with suicide, rape, transitioning from one gender to the next, and being bullied, and how they come out on the other end loving themselves regardless. I mean, we have one person who comes from a Catholic home, who's a minority, and she literally went in the bathroom and said, I wanted to off myself that day because I don't know anybody around me that loves me for who I believe I am. So we basically have these young people, through their poetry and through their stories, telling the world that they've had to deal with some hardships, but they still love themselves and they still believe themselves to be relevant. And they're telling other young LGBTQ individuals, you should too. And for those of you who don't have enough strength to wait till things get better, then you have enough strength inside yourself to make your situation better. I found 3 of the poets in New York because 2 of them inspired me to do the project. One of them was on Brave New Voices at HBO. That's how I got her. And the other producers found the other 3 from LA.
Nice. And once again, what is the name of the project?
It's called Damn Wonderful.
Damn Wonderful. And is there any type of web presence of the documentary at this point?
Absolutely. Our Tumblr is iamdamnwonderful.tumblr.com, and our Facebook is I Am Damn Wonderful. Our Twitter is I Am Damn Wonderful. In fact, you can Google I Am Damn Wonderful, and everything will come up.
Wonderful. Well, we have.
We'll also be posting all that on the Worst Show on the Web.
We'll post all that on our website, theworstshowontheweb.com. We had 2 questions. One just dropped away. Thanks, Kay, for that.
Thank you.
We're going to go to 805. 805, you are on the air.
Hello, my name's Bree, and I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan. And I had a question about the sexual scenes that you do. Is it uncomfortable for you knowing that your family is going to see them, or is it uncomfortable at all?
It was at first, because, you kissing around on TV. You're like, everybody going to see this. My mama going to see this. My daddy going to see this. My kid is going to see this. But then it's my job. So, it's my job to do it. So me and Kevin was comfortable probably at first, because his whole situation was because, his wife is going to see this. And, that was his first on-screen kiss with a dude. And we some big old musty men. I'm like, we both just some big musty men with cigarette breath, cigarette and coffee breath, and we locking lips. Like, that shit is supposed to happen.
I'll never be able to watch that scene again.
Now, was there, what was the level of nervousness going into, that day when you know that your first, on-screen male kiss is happening?
It was a lot. It was clearly a lot of anxiety. You can see it from a mile away. We were nervous. We were really, really nervous because, yeah. After that, it was like butter. I'm like, dude, you smoking. You got the kids. Stop fucking smoking. I want to taste that.
It's like carrying around Altoids.
And I'm like, I'll take some gum. I don't want to eat these Cheetos right now. Me and my man Kevin about to lock lips. After that, we were so, we became good friends, so we were so comfortable around each other. It was like, it's all good.
So now, what kind of reaction? There has to be a certain amount of razzing that you get from your friends.
Well, all my chick friends, they was like, woo. They loved Kevin. They was like, that was a wonderful situation. That's a beautiful man. My dude friends were just like, my brothers were a little like, dude, that's disgusting. But my friends are, they're liberal-minded person. They're liberal-minded people, so they don't really Yeah.
So now we are going to have time for a few more calls. If you want to ask Nelsan a question, the number is 347-202-0556. Now I'm curious. You said you have children, or at least one son who's 5, as do I. And there are certain things that I, as an actor, play. Hey, here, watch Dad on TV. But there are many things that I won't show them. Have you thought about?
But you're going to let them watch you on True Blood, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to get to see that episode.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
No, are there? Have you had much thought about at what point you're going to expose them to the body of your work?
He's already exposed to it, that little bastard.
That sounds like every 5-year-old I ever knew.
Well played.
He'll go because he's very technology savvy already. Like my man will break my phone. I don't know what he does, but he just knows technology. So he knows that he's not supposed to be watching Daddy on this show. My man knows when it comes on, I'll just come in the living room and he's watching the show. And I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to be watching this. I want to see Daddy. And then he's like, and then he'll be like, Daddy, makeup? I was like, that's why I told you you're not supposed to be watching it, because how am I going to explain that to you, that Daddy looks like Mama? I don't know. I'm going to explain that to you, don't. Yeah, he's already exposed to it.
In the chat room, one of the people.
I'm not dude. Sorry, this crazy lady is. Drunk and crazy lady was like harassing me.
In the chat room, one of the people that are in there is commenting that one of the qualities of Lafayette that make him really appeal to people is the attitude that he just doesn't care what people think, of him. How much of that is the character, and how much of that is you as an actor?
When Alan Ball wanted this character to exist in a small town in Louisiana, having come from a small town in Alabama and having family in New Orleans, Mississippi, I was like, this character cannot exist in a small southern town unless, one, he's very strong, and two, he don't give a flying F what anybody thinks. He's going to be himself regardless. Because these type of people just do not exist in a small town unless they are resilient, strong, and they have a whole lot of confidence in who they are and don't care what you think. And I told him that. I was like, this character now, he gotta just not care what people think. Because these people are chased out of town. They're like bullied relentlessly and jumped on and it's a cool world in small towns in the South to be certain things.
Yeah, I would like to. We're going to wrap this up because I know it's getting late, really, where you are, and but I would just like to tell you one of my first observations, I guess, on you. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. When you and I had the pleasure of working with you on an episode that hasn't aired yet, and in the episode, I go into Merlot's, the restaurant in the store, to do no good, and you get the drop on me with a shotgun, and you take my gun away, and the scene goes downhill for my character from there. You didn't really. I'm trying to figure out how to word this and not sound like it's an insult, which it isn't at all. I felt that when you first came to set, when you and I first met, you were a little standoffish, and you stayed in your place, which is fine. I totally respect other actors' places. And then at one point, you asked me, "Do you mind if I touch you with the gun?" And I said, do whatever you need to do, and my character will do whatever he needs to do. And I think the moment that we connected, sort of actor to actor, you, at that point, at least it seemed to me, that you were much more open and much more. I don't want to say friendly, because once again, this isn't negative at all to me. But I sort of really respected that my takeaway from that is that he wanted to connect, actor to actor first before we do any socializing.
Yeah, it's actors are tricky. Actors are tricky because I found that because you don't know people's process, you don't know how they work, you don't know if they don't want you to deal with them when they show up, you don't know if they're messy, because we never know, or I never know, especially when it's actors who are brought in for 2 or 3 episodes or guest leads, and I'm really, really tricky in terms of how I deal with them, because actors' processes are all different, and some of them don't like to be talked to. Like, they'll come to set and you talk to them, they're like, "I'm just trying to focus. I'm just really trying." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna just stand on over here. I'm gonna sit over here." Or they're overly talkative, or is there a method, or there's something else. So I'm cautious with new people so that I can fill out what their process is and then I try to be respectful. So then, we could, do this thing together, and then we can both do what we need to do in terms of how we work. But yeah, I've been on the show for a couple of years and dealing with a whole lot of people. You find out, let me just figure out how they work first. Because I've gotten the tongue by some people, been told to, or you have actors that tell you what to do. They'll come and say, "I need you to do this, do this, do this. That'll make me comfortable. If you don't do this, you do this, you do this. That'll make me, and don't touch me, don't do this, don't do this, and this is." And you're just like, okay. It just talk to you from 5 feet away. Just say my lines from 5 feet away. We can do that.
You guys are speaking of a world that I know nothing of. I mean, from all the actors, and I put actors in air quotes, that I know, they should be so gracious and lucky to have any work at all. I can't imagine anyone being demanding. And you've told me your stories, but it's unbelievable. Every time I hear this, I just go, "What? Really? I mean, you guys are being paid to do what you love. Have a little courtesy and work with the team,
You're going into someone else's house and telling them how to clean it.
Yeah, oh, man, I would shove that gun.
You have no idea.
Hopefully I never will.
No, I mean, people are happy to have jobs. It's just that people work the way they work. You know what I mean? They work. For example, I'm working with Luke Daniels right now, and I'm like, oh, he works the way he works. I'm in a scene with Yaya and David Oyelowo, and, we all sort of work differently. David and I don't, because we're from similar educational backgrounds, but Yaya works a certain way. And some of the other actors work a certain way, and you have to sort of find out how to make the scene happen with 7 people who all sort of work differently. And the director, they got a different approach to it. People can be grateful to have a job. They're still going to come into it and sort of work the way they work, because that's what they think. That's how they think they're making their money. I'm making my money by doing a good job, and everybody have a different approach on how they do a good job. I don't knock anybody when they come in and be demanding. I'm just like, okay, you do your process, whatever your process is. As long as you don't step on my feet, I'm good. You can do your process. I'll respect it.
And that was my take on it. Was okay, that's his process. He doesn't like to talk too much. And then, but for me, it was I felt, and I could have been totally off base, But once you sort of, we connected, actor to actor, then, you were much more open. And I think that's probably when you sized up what my process was.
Yeah, it did. And I'm kind of a shy dude. My icebreaker for a lot of people is you got any kids? So that's the only way I can relate to a lot of people sometimes. I start with family first. And I'm Southern, so, But but I'm sorry I was standoffish.
Yeah, no, you weren't standoffish. That's not what...
You've managed to insult our guest, Curtis.
That is not the takeaway that I wanted
son
to...
of a bitch.
Yeah, that is not what I wanted you to leave with. You were not standoffish.
And by the way, he was so gracious, not saying what we were all thinking was an actor who's in a bit part, who's on the screen, on the screen for all of 5 minutes.
I'm gonna kill. Wow, how long have you been on that show?
Oh, I don't do this whole thing. This is beyond me. I do not have the patience for what you guys do.
No, I was not talking that you were standoffish. It was just I found it really interesting, and not in a bad way. That you wanted to connect first, as professional actors before.
It's turned from a question to an apology.
I know. Wow. Jeez. Yeah. Well, we haven't had anyone else call in. Let me check the. No, we're good. So I want to thank you for coming on the show tonight. It was a pleasure working with you on the show. It was a pleasure tonight asking you a bunch of questions.
Ditto, sir. This is the longest interview I have ever had in my entire life.
Well, good. I mean, we have the opportunity to really talk to people and see what. This isn't just like
we also generally think they're never going to come back, so we try and get it all in one shot.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Y'all sound like Chelsea lately.
Wow,
that's the first time.
Yeah, that's first comparison.
How dare you, sir?
She cracks jokes at herself in her show. And when I learned the show was called The Worst Show on the Web, I was like, wow.
You
aim low.
You set the bar low.
Yeah.
It's always easy to achieve.
Right.
All right, gentlemen.
Words to live by.
Well, thank you very much, Nelsan Ellis, and we look forward to seeing the rest of the season and everything else.
And our guests are thanking you in the chat room.
And our guests in the chat room are thanking you as well.
So, thank you.
Oh, it was a pleasure being on the show, dude, and I love working with you, by the way.
Thank you. I will.
Thought we had fun.
We did. We had a lot of fun, and I would love to come back.
Oh, God, he won't stop talking about it.
Luckily, they didn't kill me, so I'm now just a resident redneck, and hopefully they'll bring me back at some point.
Oh, they will do. You make quite an impression with your comic timing.
So, thank you. It was
great. He's gonna. Thanks a lot. I like this interview right up until then.
I'll be talking about it now for a
week. Crap.
Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in. I forgot the name of the movie you're working on right now. The Butler.
It's called The Butler. Yeah.
The Butler. And any idea when that's coming out?
I do not.
Well, it's got a big enough cast. I'm sure we'll hear about it.
We'll hear about The Butler. And, of course, Damn Wonderful, too. And we'll have all those links up on theworstshowontheweb.com for you to peruse.
So,
all right.
Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
All right, sir. All right, goodbye.
Well, there you go.
We need some applause for that. You know what?
You can't tell our audience what to do.
Well, one of the things that I love about him is that and this might
turn this into when you worked with him again.
No,
I swear to God, I'm going to throw the specs box at your face.
This might just be that he's from the South, but he says he calls people sir so often.
Yeah.
It's just a sign of respect, and
I don't think it's anything to do. I just think he's an all-around nice guy.
He is. He's a total all-around nice guy. So we want to
quit being so Southist.
No, that wasn't a negative comment about the South.
Stereotyping people.
That was a positive thing. I'm saying people in the South.
Positive stereotypes. Doesn't make it not a stereotype. I call people sir.
I am completely lost here.
I'm from L.A. I call people sir.
He is so much more respectful
He's
than
much
you.
more anything.
Yeah.
You could just end it there. Yeah. What a guy. What a great guy. What a great interview.
A great guy.
What exciting projects.
My phone is still going off, so I don't know if...
we have a bunch of questions that we didn't ask.
We have a bunch of questions.
Going.
Yeah, I actually had a whole bunch of questions that we didn't ask.
But, we have actually blown our time, allotted time slot here. I mean, that was, once again, we've completely filled up a show with entertaining content.
What the hell?
I don't know. We're going to have to change the name of the show.
We're going to have to do, not as bad as the worst show on the web.
Right, the mediocrest show on the web.
So, wow. So, let's, so we want to thank him once again. And
by the way, I want to say that as soon as he hung up, 18 people left the chat room.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Now, we would like you to do us a favor. If you could go to our Facebook page, because he's not going to be the last high-level guest we get in. He will not be. If you would like to find out...
how dare you, sir? We'd be hard-pressed to find someone as classy, as an all-around class act.
We can get some people almost as classy.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know who, but we can get them.
I can't think of any.
If you go to our Facebook page and like it, so it's facebook.com/the-worst-show. I almost screwed that up. Yeah.
What was that?
Facebook.com/the-worst-show on the web, and you'll get our page. Like it, and then we don't spam you. We just...
No, you get updates of who our next guest is, and where we're going to be, and if we're going to be doing anything live in the LA area or other places.
You can also go to our website, www.WorstShowOnTheWeb. We not only have our show information there, but we have movie reviews. Harry is a vociferous movie watcher. Did I use that word right?
No.
I think so. I think I did.
Yeah, vociferous?
I think I did.
I don't think you used that word right.
Look it up. And so he and we also have another...
Prolific is more of the word I would look for.
We also have another movie reviewer. And so the...
Vehement.
Vehement.
Vehement is how I pronounce it.
Vehement.
Don't you knock my accent.
Oh, jeez. And so go to the website. There's all kinds of comments. John posts blogs pretty regularly. I have a blog on there that I never update. But when I do, it's a doozy. And I might write something about the Olympics. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really pissed off
if it's anything like what you talked about tonight, don't bother.
Well, no, it's like the Olympics as a whole, they just have a bad taste in my mouth. Because
Curtis' Mr. Bean blog.
Shut up. Okay, so I have some things to say about the Olympics, but I may put them in a blog post. I don't know. But go to our website, www.WorstShowOnTheWeb.com.
Oh, we should do our Olympic update and tell all the scores, because people are actually, by the time they listen to the show on the podcast, NBC still won't have shown them.
Latvia has won the Golden Spelunking. And,
yes.
Did you just say he has, as if Latvia is a person?
He has.
Mr. Latvia.
I thought you said Lafayette.
Oh, no.
I thought, wow, what an off-color joke to make.
Oh, no.
That was really bad.
Oh, my gosh.
You should have chosen a different country from Latvia.
Wow. That was so...
Shows you where my mind is.
Unbelievably bad. And if you did not get that, you were a better person for it.
Yes, a much better... Well, if you're listening to this show, you're a much better person than we are.
And in the chat room, somebody's saying NBC sucks donkey... ... I wonder what
we have no
imagine.
Proof of that, but that's what they're saying in our blog, in our chat.
Allegedly, NBC was photographed choking down a giant donkey... ... Allegedly. We're not saying that we haven't seen the proof. If we get the proof, though, we will post it on our...
Yeah, we'll need time delayed.
Yeah.
If we get the proof, we'll tell you about it in 2 weeks.
And we'll post it on our website, and then...
The worst show on the web.
We'll be taken off
the
suit into oblivion. So, good night, everybody, from us.
I'm calling
to you.
It's been a good show.
It has been a good show, and we're still going to end it with that horrible music.
This is the best music ever, and don't you dare criticize it.
We got to talk long enough to get the drum solo, and then we can...
Because everybody loves the drum. Who doesn't love the drum solo? If you don't love the drum solo, say so right now in the chat room. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Blog Talk Radio, where millions of hosts and listeners gather.